Welcome to Talk About, the show where I, Alex Brown, talk about whatever it is I feel like talking about, whether it's the hottest gaming news or just any random thing that comes to my mind. Beyond this intro and the outro, this is completely unscripted content, not like the video essays you'll see here. The idea being that there's less production behind it, meaning that these can be more frequent than the video essays I do here, and if you've been following along, you'll know that those are becoming far less frequent to give them more time and care. And that way it's just more conversational. And the only way to make this more of a conversation is with you. So keep an eye out for the occasional post here and check the link below in this video so that your voice may be heard on the next Talk About. And the best way to see these posts is by subscribing to the channel, and so that you can get even more like-minded player voices heard in these, be sure to hit the like button and share this video to everyone you know to boost the algorithm and all that, because man, that algorithm is a little rough sometimes, isn't it? But yeah. That's it. I appreciate that. But today I just wanted to talk about all of those video games that came out from this past 2 weeks worth of game showcases. Everything starting from the PlayStation showcase all the way to a few days ago, the Capcom showcase. There was nothing to talk about at the Capcom showcase though, so we're gonna just talk about from PlayStation to Ubisoft. So let's dive in. I took some notes, and by took notes, I skimmed through every showcase again and then just jotted down the games I wanted to talk about, which isn't to say it's every game, because that would just take far too long, and I don't have positive things to say about every game. I just handpicked the games that I personally liked a lot and really just wanted to talk about. But yeah, also there were no write-ins for this episode, so look at the link below, because there's a big write-in coming in for the next episode. I already know what it's about, and we'll get to that later. But showcase season started at the end of last month with the PlayStation showcase. And out of that presentation, I jotted down 2 video games that caught my eye. Well, number 1, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Yes, that weird triangle thing, it's a Delta symbol. Whatever that's about. Why isn't it just called 3? I don't know. I guess because they want it to be a new starting point, which is cool. But yes, that is very exciting to me. It's a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, which I personally think is not only is it the best Metal Gear Solid game, it's one of the best games of all time. And so to get that fresh coat of paint on it and have it look just so perfect, like the way I see it in my mind, it's gonna be a great time. If you saw the video on remakes, you know how I feel about remakes, and it's just very exciting to me that this is happening, because it's one of the best video games of all time. I think so many other people think so, and now so many other people are gonna get to play it, and if things work out, maybe we'll get remakes of all the other Metal Gear Solid games too. And I just love that. I love that thought. Although the only worrying aspect of it, of course, is that Hideo Kojima is not involved whatsoever, which, understandable. But since it is a remake, I don't think it's gonna hurt the game that much. If Konami said, hey, we're gonna make a new Metal Gear Solid, that's where I would start to get a little worried. But since it's just a remake of an all-time classic, I just don't see how they could mess it up. I don't see how. I really don't. As long as it's just the same game but pretty, they have themselves a guaranteed hit. So just don't mess it up, all right, Konami? You're doing a good job so far by having a remake of one of the best games ever. So just do that. Don't overcomplicate it. Just remake it, all right? And the second game that came out of that PlayStation showcase that I wanted to talk about is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Because how can you not? Spider-Man fever is happening all over the place right now. Across the Spider-Verse came out, and that was an absolute hit. This gameplay came out, absolute hit. It looks so good. I don't know what else I can really say about it, because it is, at the end of the day, it is just more Spider-Man, which isn't a bad thing, because that's great. There's the whole new wingsuit system where you can just zip around New York so much faster, and of course, Peter's got the symbiote suit, and that's going to be awesome. Although I am a little concerned about how much they've really leaned into the aggressiveness in his dialogue, which just comes off a little bit as too much, like a lot, which is kind of like, well, I thought we learned our lesson with Spider-Man 3 to not go too overboard with it. But hey, maybe it's just that vertical slice that added context made it look really awkward, but having the whole ramp up throughout the game would make more sense. But yeah, I'm excited about that one. I'm really excited. And just think about it. All right, the symbiote is on Peter. Peter's going to be very, very angry. And you can play as Miles and Peter. There's going to be a moment where Miles has to fight Peter, and that's going to be an all-timer moment. I'm pretty sure. I have high expectations for it, and I very much look forward to it. And they also got its release date at Summer Games Fest later that week. Well, not that week. It was 2 weeks later, and that is exciting. I'm very glad it's in October and not September, because September is packed. But we'll get to that later. That covers the PlayStation showcase, because not much really caught my eye there. It was kind of a bummer of a showcase, if I'm being completely honest. So we'll just move on to the next one, which is Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. And that kicked off with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It was revealed here, but we'll get to it later, because, well, it's a Ubisoft game and they have their own conference presentation thing, whatever you want to call it. We'll get to that later. But after that, they did show off the Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay presentation, and I'm into it, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's more Mortal Kombat. I'm always very interested in NetherRealm's stories, the way that they tell their stories in these games, because those are always really good, and I enjoy the crap out of those. And I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. It's just a fun time, It is getting to the point where it's so realistic, though. Like, the graphics are getting better and better, that it gets harder and harder to look at. So there's going to be a point, maybe not Mortal Kombat 1, but technically 12. So maybe like 15 or 16, we might cross over into, maybe we've gone a little too far here. But for now, it still looks great. Everyone's rebooted, and it's a nice starting on point, or a nice jumping on point for new players, which is always exciting. But what really excites me about Mortal Kombat 1 is the leaked DLC characters, which probably isn't what should be the most exciting part about your game, but it is to me, because you got friggin' Peacemaker, you got Homelander, Omni-Man. Oh my god, those are the DLC characters that were leaked, and that's just so exciting to me. Like, Peacemaker alone, awesome. Omni-Man alone, awesome. Homelander, come on. And then you can make Omni-Man and Homelander fight. It's just gonna be a great time. Will I buy the game at launch? I don't know. But when the DLC characters come out, absolutely, I will have that game in my console, whether a disc or digital. Doesn't matter, I'll have it. And moving on, though, because I don't really remember what they moved on to next, but eventually, because I just jotted down the things that I liked out of the showcase, was the Lies of P trailer, which announced the demo, which is, I gotta say, the best way to get people excited about your game. Because I was not looking forward to Lies of P at all, I'll be honest with you. I know it's like this Bloodborne-like video game, but I never played Bloodborne, honestly. I didn't play it. I know, I should. But yeah, a lot of people were excited about Lies of P, but I just never got there. But accompanied with the trailer and the demo, which I played, now I'm like, you know what? I want it now. I could go for it. I'm ready to play this. This is a very extensive demo as well. Very good demo. And more developers need to put out demos, because, man, demos, that's how you get me excited. Speaking of demos, I played the Final Fantasy 16 demo the other day. Also a game I had intentions to get, but now I'm like, after the demo, I'm just so excited to get it now, Demos are great. More demos, please. Lies of P, great game. Looking forward to it. Comes out on Game Pass as well, which is just like, what do you call it? Cherry on top. What did they say? Icing on the cake. That's the phrase I was looking for. But after that, eventually they got to Alan Wake 2, which this I'm saying it here because it's coming to my mind now. Summer Games Fest was really good because it took games that I was like, oh, okay, all right, and then made me go, oh, I am interested in this now. It made me go from meh to I would like that now. That sort of thing. And that's what these showcases, I think, should be for. They show you the reasons you would want to buy these games. And that's what they did with Alan Wake 2. Because Alan Wake 1, it's such an old game. I've heard of it. I've seen gameplay of that. And I'm just like, okay, they're making a sequel. Big whoop. But after the little gameplay segment they showed, it looks so good. It looks like Resident Evil. Like, it looks like Resident Evil, and I love Resident Evil. So that is what's making me go, oh, I am all about this. And I would like to play it. I like a good scary game, which is weird because I cannot do scary movies. So it doesn't make sense. But I just really like the vibe and look of Alan Wake 2, and that's shot up my most anticipated games list. And also at Summer Games Fest, they ended their presentation with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I don't have anything to say. I just thought I should mention it because it's supposedly a big deal. I just haven't played the first remake game, so I know I am really behind in a lot of places. But yeah, so I just thought I'd mention it. Didn't play it myself, but we're going to move on to the Xbox Games Showcase, which had so many things I would like to talk about, very much so. But first, I need to catch my breath. The Xbox Games Showcase kicked things off with Fable. Finally, some more Fable. Fable, oh my god, Fable. I just can't talk about Fable. I mean, I could. If I start talking about Fable, I'm not going to stop talking about Fable is the thing. So I'm just going to say Fable was great, and I'm very excited about it. And it looks so good. It looks so good, in fact, that people don't believe that that's what the game looks like, when in fact, that is what the game looks like. So exciting. If I keep going, I'll never stop. But Fable, Fable, Fable. I can't wait for Fable. Okay. And then there was Star Wars Outlaws was revealed, but just like Prince of Persia, we will get to that later during the Ubisoft segment of this. But yeah, keep that in mind. It was a Star Wars game. And if you know me at all, Star Wars. Moving on, though, we saw more from Avowed, an actual gameplay trailer, not just the CG conceptual type of trailer that we saw before. And I dig it. I like the colors. I like how bright it is. It's not as dark and brooding as the CG trailer would lead you to believe it was, and I feel like a lot of people were let down by that. Not me personally, because I don't need a Skyrim competitor. I feel like Avowed's brightness and colorful nature sets itself apart enough that makes me go, yes, I would like more of that. I like seeing those colors pop. And knowing Obsidian's RPGs, it's gonna be like filled with all sorts of side quests and choices and dialogue options, and it's just gonna be a good time, It's just such a good time to own an Xbox. If you don't have an Xbox, you should get an Xbox. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And then moving on, we got to Hellblade 2: Senua's Saga, another game that looks so good people can't believe it's real, which is always a compliment. Whether they accept it or not, it's a compliment. And I'm excited for this game because I've only ever heard good things about Hellblade 1, which I have not played because Senua's Saga does not have a release date yet, so I want to play those games back to back, closer together sort of thing. But I'm impressed by it, and I am into it, and I am down to play it. And it's a nice juxtaposition to Avowed, because Avowed looks bright and cheery, and Hellblade, complete opposite. So it's nice that there's still some dark, dreary fantasy going on, and some light, colorful going on the Xbox side, which I appreciate. But they also have some space stuff going on, some sci-fi stuff. And we saw a glorious trailer for Starfield during the Xbox Games Showcase. Then they went on to do the Starfield Direct, which gave us so much to talk about. So much, in fact, that I cannot do it in this video. Otherwise, it would be way too long. And so that's what the next episode of Talk About will be about, the Starfield episode, if you will. So in the link below is the new Google Forms for you to fill out if you want to be a part of that episode, which I highly encourage you to do. So, get after it. And then eventually we got to Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, the expansion of Cyberpunk 2077 that is supposedly completely changing the game. And that is going to be the moment where I finally play this video game, because it's been sitting on my shelf since December of 2020. When did that game come out? Whenever it came out, it's been sitting on my shelf since then, because I got it, never played it because apparently it was not good at launch. So I was like, I'll wait. And the time has finally come, September 26th, 2023. As long as I can pull myself away from Starfield, at least, then I'll definitely be playing it. And there's just this one shot from the trailer that I just don't know why, but it's just so visually striking to me. And it just makes me go, wow, that looks so good. And it makes me really want to play it. You know what I mean? I'll be sure to put it in front of the screen as I'm talking about it. You'll see it. Something about that framing and is like a perfect tone setter. And the last thing I jotted down from the Xbox Game Showcase is Clockwork Revolution from In Exile, which a lot of people are saying looks a lot like BioShock Infinite, which, I mean, you're right, it does. There's no doubt about that. But I feel like a lot of people are thinking it's going to be a first-person shooter, but maybe it is. I don't know for sure. But In Exile they have a background from RPG games, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's an RPG in some sort of fashion. And either way, I'm excited about that because it's a new game from a first-party Xbox studio, and it looks pretty neat. And I liked BioShock Infinite a lot. Kind of want to replay it now, honestly, which is not that great considering I have so many other games on my plate. I'm playing Diablo, Final Fantasy comes out next week, Zelda, I'm still playing Zelda. There's a lot of games going on. Ugh, oh my goodness. But moving on to our next and final showcase was the Ubisoft showcase. I only have 4 games here. And that would be the first game they opened with was Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. And I am one of the biggest fans of those Avatar movies. So you make a video game about it, and you know I'm in. I'm in. But then you're going to tell me that this Avatar game is a Far Cry game? It's just Far Cry semicolon. Is it a semicolon or a colon? I think it's a colon. It's just Far Cry Pandora? I'm in. Sign me up. Day one purchase for me. Maybe day 2. I don't know. What day does it come out? I don't know what day of the week. Depending on the day. First week purchase for me. Jot me down for that. And then moving on, we did get to see more of Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which is a 2D Metroidvania-inspired take on the Prince of Persia games, which, honestly, I'm not a big fan of 2D Metroidvania games because I just get lost and I just give up, maybe. That's on me. But, obviously it is on me. But it looks very interesting to me. Like, I like the vibe, and maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll finish it. Or maybe I won't. Who knows? All I can say is that it showed very well, and I am intrigued by it. Maybe I'll pick it up. Who knows? Who knows? Next up, we have Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is supposed to be a return to form for the Assassin's Creed franchise, which roots itself back to the Syndicate days, before the Assassin's Creed franchise became these sprawling open-world RPGs. And it was crazy watching that gameplay demo of it. I was watching it and I was like, wow, I feel nostalgic watching this. It was a really weird feeling because it's a new Assassin's Creed game, but I felt nostalgia watching it because it is it's playing like the older ones, and I didn't realize how much those were a part of my younger life, because how many of them were there? There's 1, 2, 3, Brotherhood, Revelations, Black Flag, Unity, Syndicate, Rogue. Oh, Jesus, there's like 9 of them, and I played most of them. I didn't play Rogue. I played most of them. And yeah, so seeing it now after so long, after the last one being Syndicate, it it felt it felt weird to see. It was kind of cool, and I'm like, wow, I'm into this now. Which, to circle back to the what I said earlier during the Summer Games Fest, was that the point of these should be to sell the audience on why you want this game. And Assassin's Creed Mirage showed very well, and I'm interested now, because before I was just like, I didn't really play Valhalla. Why would I care that much about Mirage? But now I'm kind of in. And maybe I'll play Valhalla some more, because that game is just so big that I have so much to still do. So who knows? Very exciting times though, because I'm into it. Good job on that showcase. And lastly, the last game I'll talk about today, and the last game from the Ubisoft showcase, was Star Wars Outlaws. And come on, it's a Star Wars open world video game. That's all I got. That's all I need. That's all I need. But then they showed off what it was, and you're a scoundrel, working for the crime syndicates, the scum and villainy of the galaxy, that sort of thing, And it showed very well. I mean, there's some dialogue options we got to see, where you could bribe an Imperial officer or not, and if you didn't, they went, all right, we're gonna send some people after you. And I was like, that's really awesome. It just looks cool, and I liked how the stealth sections looked. And then of course, once things pop off, she pulled that gun out so fast, and I was very impressed. It was very impressive, and it's like, wow, I'm very, very sold on this game from just this little segment. And then they go into space. Are you kidding me? It's crazy how you can just go from the planet's surface straight to space. And obviously, going through the atmosphere is the loading screen, but it's still very impressive. Who knows? Maybe when we get further away from the gameplay reveal, I'll go more into detail on it, because there's just so much to talk about from there that I can't possibly cram into this already jam-packed episode. So, you know what? Maybe keep an eye out for more talk on Star Wars Outlaws. Who knows? I'm just very impressed by it, and I can't wait to play it in spring 2025, because I do not believe that game's going to come out next year. I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. I think it's going to get delayed till 2025. Very exciting times, though. It looks so good. And I just can't wait for a Star Wars open world game where I can just go where I feel like going, explore a planet, God, it looks so good. I can't wait. And of course, there was no write-ins, so that's just the end of the video. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I gotta get better at ending things. I always do this towards the end of a video. I just kind of ramble. But if you want to be a part of the next episode of Talk About, where I talk about all things Starfield, check the description for the link that will get you to the Google forms that you can fill out so you can be a part of that. And I very much hope you do, because part of this whole thing is that it's a conversation, and if there's no write-ins from you guys, it's just me talking into a mic, which, hey, I'm okay with that too, honestly. But I would have more fun with some back and forth, so let's get in there. I know no one wrote in for this episode of Talk About, but I know that you guys all saw these announcements, and there has to be some of these things that you saw that excited you, and I would like to know what those games were in the comments below. So head down there and let me know what you were most excited about from these showcases. But yeah, I'm going to do the scripted outro part now. Thanks for watching this episode of Talk About, the show where I, Alex Brown, talk about whatever it is I want to talk about with you. Remember, the only way for you to be certain you see the post posing the question for the next episode is by being subscribed. So if you aren't already, you know what to do. Until then, stay safe and play some video games.